Today we're at 244 Water Street, the Augusta Teen Center. The Teen Center has been around for a long time, but recently relocated here to Water Street, which has been a great thing for the teens in Central Maine. This is a safe space for teens to be able to come and get the skills necessary to be successful. And I'm thrilled to have an opportunity to meet with and speak with the Executive Director, Chris Maloney, who will share with us about the programs offered here and the impact that it has on so many kids in Central Maine.
Everything we do is safe support for at-risk teens. We're safe, we provide a safe, home-like or family-like environment for at-risk teens, kids who aren't necessarily lost, but they're kind of fade in, they're having troubles, and we help them bring them back. I have been blessed by inheriting a group of people that are incredibly dedicated to what they do. I come from the medical and a teacher background. My staff right now includes somebody who ran a daycare, somebody else who's got a mental health degree. They are here putting in extra hours, extra time. They're going to hold you accountable, but they love them to pieces. So in 2022, we got this building down here, thanks to Dick McGoldrick, donated us this wonderful building down here on Water Street, and now suddenly we are able to be within walking distance of all these different businesses and all these different options and resources. And we're able to do the pollinator garden down here on Mill Park. We're able to have the kids come out and do trash cleanup and to help and support the community out here doing lumber pickup in the morning for Kushnak Brewing. So we're able to do so much more for the community down here. And also, we're hoping that we get a lot of internships and apprenticeships happening with all the businesses down here. So we have multiple programs for teens here. So the kind of classic program that most people think about for a Boys and Girls Club, which we are, although we're a teen center within that, is the after-school program. So we have an after-school program, kids come out of school, they come here about 2 o'clock, they circle up, we have a kind of check-in time, then they break into a high energy activity, low energy activity, come back together, have dinner together as a group, clean up as a group, and then they're off to home. We have a thing called Alternatives to Suspension. So we're actually open at 7 o'clock in the morning, and kids who've been or could be suspended will come here instead. It doesn't show up on their permanent record. And they come here for breakfast, they make their own breakfast, they come here and do homework, then they do a community activity of some kind, and then they'll do lunch and then go back to school. We also have a program called Diversion to Assets, which is first-time criminal offenders. Will come here instead of going through the justice system, and we will actually commit usually 3 to 6 months with them, and they'll do 25 to 30 hours of community service. They'll do a bunch of strengths training. They'll do an apology letter, kind of restorative justice for what they did, and they might even meet with the people that they offended in a way that really heals the whole community. So the outcomes from the Diversions of Asset program, what we see statewide in those outcomes is 70% reduction in recidivism, which is 70% reduction in return to crime. Typically, if you take a child and put them in Long Creek or put them in juvenile in any way, it's probably a 20 to 30% reduction. So we're seeing about 40% more active, better behaviors overall from kids who've gone through, and it makes sense because you just punish the kid, they're not going to learn. But if you teach them the framework of how to relate to the world differently and better, on an individual basis, we have kids who've gone through the program who are now working on the street. So they're working for people here on the street, and they're reliable and they're trustworthy, and they've become citizens. All of these are no cost to families. So we run everything by grants. It's all paid for by the community. And as soon as your kid hits teenage, you're suddenly going to have a lot more options and not have to hit the childcare expenses, which are so problematic for many families. In 2015, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. At my age and with that diagnosis, I had a 70% chance of being dead in less than 12 months. With a 9-year-old son, I was really unhappy. So for the next couple years, basically, I spent in terror of being dead. And then I went, I can't live this way. I'm not going to do this. However, I would say that there's a 4-year window there. From 2015 to 2019, I was with my kid all the time, because that was my most important thing. 2019, I got my 4-year clear. My 4-year clear is basically 95% chance it's not coming back. And from strictly from a responsibility standpoint, I look at it and go, I have been given more life. How do I help the community? How do I use the life that I've been given? I am constantly kind of pushing them in the decision-making pathways that I see to be best for them long-term. From a mental health standpoint, I would say our investment with this group of teens is probably going to save us like $500,000 per individual that we intervene with, because otherwise what we're going to deal with is chronic drug use or chronic alcohol use, and that as at the other end of this medically, what's going to happen is we're going to see that person gets no intervention until the last 6 months of their life, in which case it's extremely expensive for us. Whereas what I'm doing at this end's costing us pennies on the dollar, and increasing their quality of life, which you can't put a price tag on. And from a financial standpoint, well, I'm so much less expensive. Even if they avoided incarceration, we're still looking at $500,000 that we're saving per kid. You can come and volunteer for us and be here with the teens and hang out with the teens and share your expertise in whatever you're an expert in with us. How can you can find those old outfits in the closet you're not wearing and bring them down. So you can hook us up or network with us with your organization or your nonprofit or your business, and you say, hey, we have an opportunity for you to apprentice with us. Would you be interested? You can broadcast that we are available to kids in your neighborhood who are at risk, or you're kind of like, hey, did you know the Teen Center existed? So you could go down and be there. And then, of course, there's financial support. So you can support individual programs for us. Like this summer, we're gonna take them to the botanical gardens. So we need funding for that. Or you need to, we'd love to take them to a Sea Dogs game if we could afford it. These are the kind of things that if I get the money, I will be able to do it. So there's concrete things that you can do to physically support us. But I would suggest that what I would say most is please keep us in your thoughts, how you can be helpful to us and how we can be helpful to you.